Now, if you look to my left, you see an updated pound for pound list. And you see there's a new debutant on the pound for pound list in the number 15 spot, and it's Arman Tsarukyan. Now, I'm seeing a lot of negative, like, oh, what the heck? How is Arman Tsarukyan on the list, dude? It doesn't make any sense. And it's kind of pissing people off. Like, I see some people, like, replying to this tweet saying, oh my God, this is BS. Why is this happening? I hate this. This makes no sense. Why are we rewarding Arman? Because if you think about it, Arman Tsarukyan, the last thing he did that's notable is pull out of a fight. Pull out of a fight. Like, the 24 hours notice. Just, yeah, I don't want to fight, dude. My back hurts, dude. Nina drama made me roll on my neck, dude. And I'm upset. Now, people are probably like, why is this a thing? I'm also going to show you like some comments of like people being frustrated at the situation. As you can see right here, people saying, what the fuck is Arman doing on this list? Arman Tsarukyan has zero business being on the UFC pound for pound list. What are we doing here? Everyone seems confused. Everyone seems like they don't know what's going to happen. But you guys got to realize, look what Arman tweeted out on Instagram. Tweeted out on Instagram. Look what he posted on Instagram. He said, big news coming soon. So he said this before the list was actually dropped. And then coincidentally, the list gets dropped and we see him in the pound for pound spot. Now, what does this mean? Arman Tsarukyan is fighting Islam Makhachev. This is the only reasonable scenario happening. Because if you think about it, they want Arman Tsarukyan to fight for, if Arman was to fight Islam Makhachev, it wouldn't be like a good win for Islam, or it wouldn't be notable in any way, shape, or form if Arman was just some other guy who was just ranked high in the lightweight division. They wanted to make Arman Tsarukyan a pound for pound guy, so when Islam beats him, it's better for his resume. This is doing Islam some justice. So the last video I actually posted, I was talking about how I think the UFC should do Charles versus Ilya. And I'm not saying I'm Mr. Kenny with like predicting the way fights are gonna. I'm Mr. Kenny when I predict fights, but I'm also Mr. Kenny predicting how fights are gonna happen or what fights are gonna get booked. And I was right. I think in my last video I had the nail on the head that Ilya Taporia is probably gonna fight Charles because they've been beefing on Twitter. It's obvious that Ilya kind of wants that fight. It's obvious that Charles doesn't really want it, but he's open to it. And then Arman Tsarukyan, I'm not saying he deserves this championship fight if it's going to be booked. Like, it's not confirmed. But this is the only logical reasoning. Because, like everyone's saying, he has zero business on this list. Like, what are we going to put him on the list for? His last fight was how long ago? Against Charles? Like, come on, dude. And, like, listen. If that was the case, he would have never left the list. If that Charles performance was so great, he would have never left the list. The reason he was just added right now, recently, when he did nothing except for pull out, like, a couple months back, is because he's fighting Islam Makhachev now. What does this mean for Islam? It means that Islam Makhachev needs to win this fight. And it's a must win for Islam because Islam has to beat Arman and Ilya has to beat Charles so the UFC can line up a super fight down the road in 2025, brother. Dale. And it's going to be Islam versus Ilya. They're trying to make the fight bigger. And by making the fight bigger, if Ilya El Matador, who's now Legendia, bro, the legend or something. I hate that. Chat, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even making this video about just cooking that name, but what the fuck, this guy, bro, the Matador, like El Matador had so much more aura. I'm not jacking that. I'm not jacking it. I'm sorry. I'm not jacking that whole like, yeah, man, my name's the legend now, bro. It doesn't hit. But yeah, Ilya needs to fight someone with a great resume in lightweight like Charles Oliveira. If he beats Charles, he's solidified as a lightweight. I think the problem why Islam was kind of like, I don't want to give him a chance, is because say Islam does smoke Ilya, they'd be like, oh, he's just a 145er. But if Ilya like submerges himself among the best by beating Charles Oliveira, it's going to make that fight a lot bigger, as well as if Islam beats Arman. Because I think I've said before, people keep telling me, yo, dude, Ilya is Islam's hardest fight. Says who? Like, why do you guys think Ilya is Islam's hardest fight? Stylistically, like, we know what Ilya brings. We've seen him get wrestle fucked by Bryce Mitchell. I know Bryce Mitchell's oh yeah, man, country strength, dude. I got that country strength, man. Fuck out of here, dude. Like, I know he's strong, but there's difference between him and Islam. Like Bryce Mitchell and Islam is just not comparable, like as far as grappling is concerned. So I'm glad he's going against Charles, who I don't know if Charles is gonna wrestle. I'm assuming he will. Maybe a little bit. Charles is really not the type to shoot on like everyone. He shot against Michael Chandler because Chandler's just a bum. But I don't know if he's gonna shoot on Ilya. But I hope he does. I want to see like how strong he is compared to Charles, because Charles is actually like abnormally strong in the clinch. The way he'd be like pressing people up there. He's weird. He's weird. He's deceptively strong. So I want to see how him and Ilya go in grappling. I'm sure on the feet when they're striking, I know it's gonna happen. Like Ilya's gonna put the beats on him like Dr. Dre. Hands on him, lots of bass. It's gonna be one of those beatings on the feet. But if Charles wins, like say we never get the super fight with Ilya versus Islam and Charles wins, that just makes the rematch a lot more entertaining. Like Charles going on about like how he wants to fight for the title for beating Michael Chandler. bro, if you don't get your fucking long neck, no hairline, having blonde hair ass, bro, don't play with me like that. Don't ever try me like that again, bro. Don't ever say dumb shit like that again. You're not getting a title shot off of beating Michael Chandler in the big 2024. You beat him in 2024, not even 2025. You know, you're not getting that title shot, man. You're not getting it, dude. So I feel like this actually makes sense. I know people might be upset that Islam and Ilya is not going to happen, and they might be scared that, oh, maybe Islam's going to lose to Arman, and then, or maybe Ilya's going to lose to Charles. If you're a logical person. Now, I'll be real. Islam versus Arman is close. I think Islam's going to beat Arman. But Arman is... The reason I think Arman's a harder fight for Islam than Ilya is because we know Arman can grapple. You know, I feel like with Ilya and Islam, the big question marks kind of like, can Ilya's strength and like grappling intelligence keep up with Islam? I just don't think so. And then the striking, like Islam's a pretty solid striker too. With Arman Tsarukyan, we know his grappling can keep up with Islam. Can he keep up for like 5 rounds? I don't know, but can he keep up with Islam for the most part in the grappling? Yes. And as far as the striking is concerned, I know Islam's a really good striker, but Arman's not a bad offensive striker. He does some sporadic stuff, you know, fucking axe kicks and all these spinning kicks, but he's actually a pretty sound striker. So I feel like stylistically, this is actually a hard fight for Islam, and this is gonna like upgrade his legacy a lot more. I would even argue that this might be a hot take, but you guys gotta listen to me. If Islam beats Arman, that's better for his legacy than beating Ilya, because if he beats Ilya for like one of Ilya's first fight at 155, I just know it would tie into that 145 narrative that people want to act like it doesn't exist now. But I keep seeing people try to act like, yo, man, that's not a narrative. You're making that up. Bro, that's a narrative that everyone was saying after the Volk fight when Volk was pound for pound #1. I'm glad that Ilya's pound for pound #3, and I'm glad he's going to go in there and probably beat Charles Oliveira so he can be solidified and like submerged in the 155 division. So when Islam does fight him later in the year, it'll be like a great win. But honestly, right now, if you ask me, Kenny, what's the biggest fight? What does the most for Islam's legacy? I'm gonna say Arman. I would agree that if Islam did beat Ilya first, like it would kind of be Khabib Conor. Khabib is not Conor's like best win. Like that's not like his best win is not Conor. If you ask who's Khabib's best win, if they say Conor, that's kind of like a casual take. Like I feel like even like people like RDA is a better win than Conor. It might be a hot take, you know. Even Justin Gaethje at the time and Dustin Poirier at the time, they're all better wins than Conor at the time. Like Conor came back from like Floyd Mayweather and shit, and then he lost, you know. So I feel like people don't understand that there's a difference between like popularity fights. Like I do think Ilya's a more popular fight that people are gonna care about more. And I'll be real, Arman, though, even looking at his face right now on the screen, kind of pissing me off because I just remember the whole build-up. He was kind of like just not talking much in the press conference, talking about like, oh, my dad's rich, I don't need this. If I win the title, I might just vacate and run away. He was pissing me off with that whole promotion, but he could fight. I can't lie, this guy could fight. You know, I was one of the only people saying he's gonna like kind of cook Charles. That's what he did. Beat him 3-0. You know, Charles almost had him with submissions, but Arman's a good fighter. Like doing that, like dominating Charles the way he dominated him shows his level. Like I do think Arman's good. So I'm not even gonna be surprised if this fight with Islam is close. Like I know it's gonna be close. I'm not an idiot. Like I said, I'm not delusional. I know Arman and I know his strengths. I hear sirens right now. I see a fire truck. I don't know if you guys hear that, but I know Arman's not gonna be a walk in the park for Islam Makhachev. I know some Islam fans might try to gas that you guys are, oh man, it's gonna be easy, man. It's not gonna be easy. But I know like people are gonna say, I just think stylistically they match up well, but it's almost like everything Arman does, Islam does to a better extent and does it more efficiently. You know, I can't name you a advantage Arman has. Maybe the only thing he does better than Islam is he's shorter. He's better at being a short king, dude. Like, you know, but who cares about that? Listen, he looks strong. Like, he's physically strong, but he's not stronger than Islam. And of course, they fought before, but that's so long ago. It's hard to grasp a lot from that fight. But from what we saw in that fight, when they're both young, Islam was even a better grappler there. And since then, Islam has just fought the better level opposition and done well. So, yeah, and then I see Islam having deficiencies on the feet with sometimes with pressure, but that's not really how Arman fights either. So no matter what way I look at this fight, I see Islam winning. So I feel like people who are panicking that, oh my God, Ilya and Islam might not happen, it's still gonna happen down the road. The UFC's doing they're in their storytelling arc, right? They're doing their storytelling era thing, bro. They're like, okay, so you gotta fight Charles, Ilya, and Islam, you gotta fight Arman. You guys gonna meet up at the end of the year. That means we're gonna get 3 Islam championship fights this year, which means a super active champion, which is that's what we love to see, bro. Oh yeah, man, Dagestanians aren't active. Islam did a good job fighting before Ramadan, so now he can fight in summer and then around December to end off the year. Brother, dale. Who wouldn't want this, bro? This is the best case scenario. Unironically, I feel like people thought this would be bad, but this seems to be the best case scenario for Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan. Listen, this is definitely the best case scenario for Arman Tsarukyan because this dude who fucked up his opportunity at a title by saying his back hurts because he was rolling on his neck with Nina Drama, he still gets another chance. So, listen, if I'm Arman, I'm celebrating because I'm telling you. At first, I was kind of like punish this fraud, this annoying ass dude, because he ruined the event. Without Umar Marab, that event would have been kind of mediocre. So shout out Umar Marab for delivering. But yeah, I really feel like Arman's getting a blessing here and kind of getting a cookie for doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I do understand the frustrations. I see the people's tweets and how mad they are. Like, oh man, this isn't fair. Why is Arman on the list? And they're right. It doesn't make sense. But it doesn't change the fact that Arman Tsarukyan and Islam Makhachev, it kind of makes sense to happen just because Arman Tsarukyan is the number one contender. And like if he was to skip the line or like go to someone else like Ilya or Justin Gaethje, someone else like that, I don't want to say it would be unfair to Arman because like I said, Arman's an idiot, but it just make Islam's win. Like if Islam beats Justin Gaethje, no one's gonna give a shit. And if he beats Ilya, people are gonna give a shit for about 2 months, and then a couple months later, oh, the narrative 145 or so. I'm not mad at this. Like, would I prefer the Ilya Topuria fight? Yes, but am I happy that it's probably Islam-Arman? Yes, because I know they're gonna give Islam credit. You know, no matter what way they slice the cake, Islam will get credit. And I'm gonna say this as well. Arman Tsarukyan, if he could fraudulently fraud his way to some fraud shit, I'd be pissed and that would ruin stuff. But if he's better than Islam, he's better than him. But is he? Probably not. Like, I'll be real, he probably won't do shit. But it's be an interesting fight. And listen, if I'm wrong about this and they just put him on the pound for pound list for shits and giggles, then I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, it literally, like, logically, it just makes zero sense. Like, there's no other reason to put Arman Tsarukyan on a list like this. Like, what else will they do it for? It just doesn't make sense to me. Making his debut for doing absolutely nothing. Like, if they just did it for fun, then brother, UFC, you're very weird. Like, you're just weird. So I'm assuming like this is the only common sense path to take looking at a scenario like this. Everyone's pissed off for good reason too. I understand why people are mad because like if he's not fighting Islam, it literally makes no sense. And yeah, I couldn't think of any other reasoning they'd put Arman Tsarukyan there, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this whole thing down below. I do think him versus Islam is going to get booked next, and I do think Oliveira versus Ilya is going to get booked next. So back-to-back videos of me cooking on the lightweight matchmaking, bro. Trust me, bro. I could be a matchmaker, brother. Dale, brother. Look at this. This is perfect, man. Yeah, baby. Look at those arms, too, man. Fucking. All right, bro. Let me know what you guys think down below. That's it for me, and God bless. 2, 3.